everybody, hello gentlemen. How are you guys doing? Today we are going to make a tier list of the countries that want to join the European Union right now. All of the countries that are either in the process or that have explicitly said they want to join the EU are here, and we are going to rank them. They're probably going to join in 2 years to they're probably never going to join. And we also have 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, in which amount of time I believe they are going to join the European Union. And then again, I have to say this is just my opinion. I could be very wrong or I could be very much right. So it will be interesting to see. Let's just get into it. The first country we have it's Albania. Albania, interesting enough, applied for EU. Okay, so was identified as a potential candidate for membership in June 2003. So that's quite a long time ago. Quite a long time ago. And you would expect that they would be already in if everything was okay, but that's not really the case. Albania still has a lot of problems and a lot of corruption problems. Recently actually, there have been political problems between the prime minister and the opposition leader. Why were there smoke bombs in the parliament this week? So they have been at odds. They have been battling. Prime minister was accused of corruption, so there's still a lot of corruption in Albania. They're doing decently well with the chapters that they need to close, but there's still a long way ahead. And I think honestly, I'll put them here. So about 20 years, I think they will take. They're not at never. I think they will join eventually. It's just they will take a pretty long time with Albania to really get over everything when it comes to the corruption and the system. And also, it seems like a lot of asylums would be processed in Albania, at least for Italy. A lot of asylum seekers would be processed in Albania. So immigrants who wants to go to Italy would be processed in Albania. I think 35,000 of them, something like that. So if this becomes a country also with a lot of asylum seekers in there, a country that holds centers for asylum seekers, it might take a longer time because, well, if you have more immigrants there, it's just harder to get in. So we have Bosnia and Herzegovina next. Okay, honestly, with the things that corruption in Bosnia and Herzegovina is even worse than Albania, they're doing worse in many ways. And because the country is divided between Croats, Serbs, Bosniak Muslims, right now it seems to me that they got to change the constitution for the country even to be eligible, really, to even make sense for them to be in a European Union. I mean, it seems to me like their corruption is rooted in the constitution, with just the separation between these three ethnicities. Catholic Croats, usually Orthodox Serbs, and Muslim Albanians. And they rotate between each other, and to me, it just seems like the corruption is so much worse that it's going right at the constitution. Like the constitution is supposed to be the backbone of a country, and yet if that is corrupted, I mean, could I really put them in the same category as Albania? I don't think so. I think that right now they have to change the constitution and a lot more things about their country to even have a chance. And if your constitution literally promotes corruption in the way that segregated the society, for now is never, in my opinion. And also they're doing the worst when it comes to chapters, but we'll see. Okay, Kosovo. Kosovo is it's pretty interesting. The main problem with Kosovo is that, well, they're not really recognized by the European Union. I mean, obviously the majority of the countries in the EU recognize Kosovo, but there are still, I think, 7 countries who don't. And when you don't even have fully recognition from all of the member states, I mean, you're not even considered a real country by the whole EU at this point. So again, I have to put them on never. First of all, need to become a real country in the sense that they need to be recognized by everybody. And I think that will happen when Serbia itself will recognize Kosovo. And they came pretty close to that last year or this year, but nothing happened. They escalated again with other tension with the Serbs in the north in Kosovo. So yeah, right now when you have such basic problems to your application to the EU, I think I still need to keep you at never. Okay, Macedonia or North Macedonia. So Northern Macedonia, in my opinion, they are going to be better than Albania, even though that they applied at the same time. Northern Macedonia is not as bad politically and from the corruption standpoint as Albania. So that's a plus for them. That's actually good. So I'm split. I think that next 10 years. Hmm. You know what? Yeah. I think I'm going to put them in this 10 years category. So probably in 10 years, I seen them joining, and I'll let Albania in 20 years because again, Northern Macedonia, it just seems to make much more progress in the application, likewise in the rhetoric of the government. Okay, next country is Turkey. Turkey. They choose they recently changed their name because they didn't want it to be confused with the bird. Quite a quite a funny situation, right? So yeah, obviously tomorrow they'll join now. Never. There- There's just zero possibility for Turkey to join. They don't just have one of the most corrupt and dictatorial leaders in the world at the helm of the country. They also have the overall way that the country is evolving, right? So from the Ataturk's time, from the time when Ataturk was the leader, they started becoming a very secularized country, and that was rooted out in their constitution. Right now, it just seems day by day, they're going to become more and more Islamic, and EU values are simply not Islamic values. Yeah, no chance. Even though I think their application is the oldest, right? There's not a chance in the world. I mean, even from the corruption and everything, right now Turkey is just the playground of Erdogan, another authoritarian dictator. I just don't see it. The place of Turkey in the world is not in the EU. Georgia, okay. So Georgia is not even a candidate country. Doesn't even have a candidate status. They are in the category of potential candidates, just like Kosovo actually. To me, I think they're going to join. They're very supportive of the EU, very supporting of the EU, and also EU Commission recommended that the Council will adopt Georgia as a candidate country. So they're going to join eventually, but that's very much in the long term. Also, when we look at the map, Georgia is quite far away, quite isolated from the EU, even more isolated than any Balkan countries and even Ukraine. And let's not forget that Russia still controls a part of Georgia in the north. Is still under the control of the Russian authorities. So they also need to resolve that dispute with Russia somehow. Maybe I should put 30 years for Georgia in another category, but eventually they're going to join just because when you have like 90% of the population wanting to join, and they try over and over again and they elect a democratic government. At least they have a very pro EU president right now, the prime minister, not so much. But I believe eventually it's going to happen. And they're really trying to make progress with corruption and everything. It's just so much different than any of these nations right here at the never category. Their problem don't run as deep as Turkey, Kosovo, and Bosnia. Okay, Serbia. Ooh, Serbia. Maybe this will be a controversial take, but I think in the next 5 years they'll join just because they could. I mean, they have done surprisingly well with closing the chapters. I didn't think they'll do so well. I was surprised when I saw their progress. And even though they have a pretty much pro-Russian rhetoric, kinda they had for a while. Right now, it's much more ambiguous. We don't know. The president of Serbia know that we want to join the EU. I think they could, first of all, they have also the key to Kosovo joining, right? If tomorrow Serbia wants to give Kosovo a chance of joining, they just have to recognize the country. It's their decision if they want to do that or not. Also, likewise, they can't themselves enter the EU until they resolve the problem with Kosovo. So they have to recognize it somehow. Maybe they do an exchange of land where Kosovo gives away some Serbian majority counties in the north back to their home country Serbia. That could be a possibility, and that will also give a Kosovo a chance for the future to join if they do that. Because after Serbia recognizes Kosovo, the other 7 countries in the EU will do the same. So yeah, I believe they could do it in 5 years. In my opinion, they could do it in 5 years if they really, really want to. Okay, Ukraine. Ooh, Slava Ukraine. Never. Nah, not kidding. 10 in the next 10 years. So the EU Commission at least really wants them in. There are a few issues though. First of all, the war, obviously. I think they have to resolve that. They have to make an agreement with Russia. I don't think they're going to reconquer all of Ukraine. I think even their own general said that, unfortunately. So they might have to do a deal where Russia just takes some of the land that they conquered, and after that they obviously EU took a big responsibility in supporting them. And also there needs to be a reform inside the EU regarding the agriculture policy before Ukraine can join. Right now, as it is, Ukraine has probably the most fertile land in Europe. So if they were to join, there will be a lot of money going into Ukraine. Actually, I think there will be so much money going into Ukraine that a lot of EU countries that get money, that they are net receivers, will stop getting money, and they will actually start giving money to the EU all in general for the support of Ukraine. So that they need to change the agriculture policy before the EU needs to change their agriculture policy. The EU elites really took on the responsibility of Ukraine on their back and really wants Ukraine to join the EU in the future. So yeah, 10 years, my opinion, will happen. I think it will happen after North Macedonia. Moldova. Ooh, Moldova. I might be a little bit of bias here because I'm Romanian. Moldova will probably join in the next 5 years as well. Moldova was granted candidate status at the same time as Ukraine, but it has easier to solve problems. So first of all, there's no such thing as a agriculture. The EU doesn't need to implement a new agricultural policy before letting Moldova in. Moldova is much more small of a nation and would be much easier to integrate with much less of a population and everything. There will be much easier integration for Moldova. And now one problem that Moldova has is Transnistria. In the east of the country, there's a region called Transnistria that is not under their control. It's a country after the fall of USSR declared pretty much independence, and it was supported by the Russians. And right now they control the very east of the country, and that region needs to be resolved before joining. Now, if Transnistria loses total Russian support, there are a few Russian soldiers there at the moment, but if they're gone, I mean, they could take that land pretty easily in an operation supported by the continent. I mean, it's either that or they just recognize Transnistria as an independent country, which they shouldn't do. They just shouldn't do because they have no right. It's just a Russian project, Transnistria as a whole. So that shouldn't happen, in my opinion. But yeah, I hope that will be in the next 5 years, and I think it's possible if they get Transnistria done. And if the Moldovan population keep voting for the pro EU parties like they have done recently, yeah, I think it's possible because just like Ukraine, EU also took Moldova as the responsibility of joining in the face of the Russian threat. Yeah, so I'll put them in the same category as Serbia on joining. Now, the last country is Montenegro, and this will be the only country that I'll put in the top. I think Montenegro could be very easily joining in the next 2 years. They have made the most progress with the chapters. They have made a lot of progress with the corruption. They're a very small country, so it's easy to integrate. Yes, I don't think they have any systematic problems like any other countries here. Macedonia and Albania don't have systematic problems, but they still have a lot of corruption. And Montenegro is doing very, very well. So yeah, I think I can easily see Montenegro as being entering the union in the next following years, following 2 years. And of course, before Montenegro could join the EU, they also need to subscribe to this channel. That's like a requirement at this point. And so everybody, whoever watches this right now, they need to subscribe to this channel for Montenegro, please. Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment what you feel about this. Feel free to comment and tell me your opinion. That would be lovely. And thank you for watching, guys. That was amazing. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.